Hey y'all. Hey, happy Friday the 13th. Today is actually my husband's birthday too, so it's even better for us. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit and let you know some things about me. Obviously, you can tell that my eyes are a little different right now. And I don't really do makeup. I don't enjoy it. I don't really see a whole lot of point to it. I do, however, love contacts, and these are probably one of my favorite pairs. But I also wanted to point out that we are real, and you're going to see some things that you may or may not like, and you're going to hear us talk about things that you may find offensive or have issues with. It's not our intention to upset anyone. We are just being real. We are being who we are, and I wanted you to be aware of that. So if you don't enjoy who we are, you don't have to follow us. You don't have to subscribe to our channel. You don't have to enjoy who we are. And that's fine. We don't have a problem with that. I'm just wanting to make sure that you guys have a chance to see at least a little bit of who we actually are before you decide to subscribe and, favorite us and then get all offended because of something that we say or something that you don't like, something that you see or whatever. I do cuss. I don't consciously think about it. I don't try to go out of my way to do it. I just do it. There are some things that I just say, and it's not for any particular reason. It just happens. It's just who I am. My husband doesn't really do that so much. I mean, he does sometimes, every once in a while, say things, but generally speaking, I'm the one that cusses. And like I said, it's not even like angry cussing. It's just part of my vocabulary. It just kind of became that way. I grew up Christian. My dad was religious. My mom was religious. And I grew up that way. And for quite a while, I was actually right along with them. I was very religious myself and very, this sounds awkward to say it this way, but I was very Christian as well. And I came to a point in my life where I decided that that was not for me. And I kind of moved a different route. And I followed my the genetic roots, I guess. I know that there is Native blood in my family. I know that my mom is at least part Native, therefore I'm part Native. Or First Nations, I guess is what it's being called now. I don't know. I'm not politically correct. Please don't expect me to be. So at the time it was Native American. It's what I knew it as. And that's kind of the route I started going. I started looking into and researching all about their beliefs, their deities, their spirit guides, whatever you might want to call it, and exploring that route myself. And I have become more and more in tune with nature. And my beliefs are pretty strongly based in nature and natural things. And it's something that I feel connected with, and I don't expect anybody else has to. You don't have to. You can follow whatever you want to follow. And I'm not going to be the type to, what is that word? Proselytize, I think, is the word. I'm not going to tell you what you need to follow. I'm not going to tell you what you need to believe. And I ask that you do the same with me. Don't tell me to be Christian. Don't tell me to be whatever, anything, Buddhist, or, anything, whatever it is. Don't try to change my beliefs. I won't try to change yours. That's all I ask of anybody. But beyond that, I did want to let you know that I do have a little bit of a, I guess, Wiccan leaning. I don't know. I've never been to a Wiccan church or whatever it's called. I don't know. I've never been there. I've never been involved in any structured Wiccan events or anything like that. I don't know. I follow my heart with what I choose to believe and what fits with me, what feels right. And that's just where I'm going to be. But I will tell you, I am an artist. I am, in some ways, a singer. I have a decent voice. I don't tend to use it a lot. I don't like to sing a cappella. And a lot of that has been kind of beaten out of me, not like physically, but I struggled growing up. And so my voice is often kept hidden. I don't tend to share it a lot. And considering YouTube's rules, if I can't play my music in the background to sing to it, you probably won't hear it. And it's just, yeah, that's just me. Anyway, yeah, I don't use makeup. I generally don't use makeup. So you'll also see sometimes I have little hairs here and sometimes along my chin, because I don't always shave. I don't always pluck or whatever. I'm clean, but I don't need to do the, manicure, pedicure, grooming, and all of that stuff like some women are, which is fine. If you do that, that's great. That's you. It's just not me. One of the other things I wanted to let you know along the same lines with the artwork is I do have a tattoo that you probably will see. I'm sure you'll see it at some point. So I'm going to show it to you now anyway. This is part of why I say I'm kind of sort of lean Wiccan a little bit, because the design that I drew that feels right to me, that I had tattooed on my leg from a very good friend of mine, Josh, is something that I have a lot of pride in. I love it. It's not done yet. It still needs some color and stuff in it. It's not done yet. But this tattoo is pretty well the core of who I am. So I'm going to show you that really quick. So I don't know how much you can see of that, but if you can see the words in there, it says, "No power in the verse can stop me." And that really is my core. I did, when I was about 17 or 18, I don't remember exactly when, I did attempt suicide. I was going through some really, really rough years. I went through some really bad shit. And there's one of the cuss words, by the way. But it was just a really tough time for me. And I kind of made a mindset shift where I realized I was not being as grateful for everything I did have as I could be. And I started becoming more grateful. I started to, I have a mantra now that I have followed since that time, where, because I survived, my mantra, my phrase that I live by that has made me a survivor is, things could always be worse. And I know that sounds negative, and I know to most people that sounds like a horrible thing to say. But for me, it's not. Because for me, what it represents is that, yeah, things are bad right now, but they could always have been worse. And they're not. Ultimately, what it means is gratitude. It means that I'm grateful for what I do have, because it could be worse. Because whatever I'm going through, no matter how bad it is, could have been worse, and I'm grateful that it's not. So that is what has made me a survivor. That is what has kept me alive through all of the hard times, anything difficult that I've been through. And it's actually made me have a more positive outlook on life and on everything, really. So no matter what I've been through, I always think it could have been worse. But anyway, that's what keeps me going. It doesn't have to be what keeps you going. But if you're struggling with things, consider that. So I was going to explain, and I kind of spaced it a little bit. My tattoo, the phrase that's on it specifically, is something that's important to me, and is, as I said, it's the core of who I am, because I believe wholeheartedly that if I set my mind to do something, I will accomplish it. It may not be in the exact way that I picture or that I think it's going to happen, but I will make it happen. I'm determined enough. So for me, the phrase "no power in the verse can stop me" is a real thing. It's something that I will push through, and I will deal with all the hardships, and I will find a way to make whatever it is I'm choosing to do happen. And it goes hand in hand with my mantra, because when I stumble going through that, and I hit those difficult times where it's not going the way I thought it would, the way I wanted it to go, I still have my mantra to back me up, to say, okay, it's not that great. It's not what I thought it was going to be, but you know what? It could have been worse. It could always have been worse. And it's not. And so for me, those two phrases together are the most powerful phrases in my life. And so, and I'm sure some of you probably know where that phrase, "no power in the verse can stop me," came from. If you do, drop a note. I want to see if you are aware. Also, tell me who said it first. So I want to see if you guys know, if you guys are real fans of the same kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. That phrase is really powerful for me, and it means a lot to me, and it's something that I thought long and hard about, and I have wanted to have a tattoo involving that for years, and I finally decided I was just going to design it myself. And so that's actually what I ended up doing. I drew it myself, and I sent it to my artist, who I will show you his business card here if I haven't already done it. His name is Josh. He's fantastic. He's a wonderful artist, and he is really flexible and really good with a lot of stuff. From what I understand, he's also recently learned how to do watercolor tattoos, which is awesome. I haven't seen those yet, but Josh is awesome. And if you are anywhere near where he is, I think he's in Iowa? I don't remember exactly. He was living over here in Washington and recently moved to go live with a wonderful girl who was also a friend of ours that we've known for quite some time. But anyway, that's a different story. But I wanted you guys to know a little bit more about me and who I am. Another thing about me is you'll notice I have tattoos. I showed you one of them. I have others, so you can actually see one right there, the ladybug, and you'll see that one probably a lot because it peeks out all the time. There's also a very tiny one here that almost nobody notices because it's so small, and because the color, I intended for this one to look like a birthmark. So that's why it's almost never noticed. I'll see if I can give you guys a better look. Anyway, that one's got a long story to it too. And it's one that I don't know if you guys know the story, but there was two writers that did similar stories, and one of them was Edgar Allan Poe, who I absolutely love. And the other one, I cannot remember his name at the moment, but they both wrote very, very similar stories, and one of them was titled The Birthmark. I don't remember the name of the other one. And ironically, I believe it's swapped, so the one that I don't remember the name of is, I believe, Edgar Allan Poe's story. And I think The Birthmark was somebody else's, was the other guy's. But anyway, what I remember of the stories is one of them, the guy was a painter, and one of them was I want to say he was like open heart surgeon or something. He was a surgeon, I think. And the both of them had married a girl who was absolutely beautiful. She was perfect in every way except she had a birthmark on her cheek. And at some point, I intend to have a very tiny birthmark on my cheek as well. That birthmark was a very tiny little handprint, and that looked like some people said that the woman had been fairy touched at birth, that when she was born, a fairy had touched her there and left their handprint there. And it was some people believe that it was a blemish, that was a bad mark upon her. But generally speaking, people thought, regardless of the birthmark, that she was still beautiful. However, in both cases, the husbands did not like that birthmark. They hated it. One of them was so disgusted by it that he would either look away, become angry, become disgusted seeing that birthmark. And in at least one of the stories, the girl would blush from embarrassment, and that only made the birthmark brighter and more pronounced, which would upset him even more. And in one case, I think they both might... No, okay, so one of them, the surgeon had a dream about cutting the birthmark out. And it was something I guess he had discussed with her, talked about wanting to take it off, and because she loved him, she was willing to go through that for him. Now, I may not be getting these stories completely right, but the meaning behind them is what's important to me. But anyway, the surgeon had a dream where he tried to cut the birthmark out. And after the cut, he realized the birthmark went deeper. So he cut deeper. And he kept going until eventually the hand reached in and wrapped around her heart and squeezed it so tightly that it killed her. And when he woke up the next morning, or that morning or whatever, she was dead. So basically his hatred of that tiny thing had killed her. And in the case of the painter, he abhorred that mark so much that he painted the most perfect painting, perfect likeness of her, yet he excluded the birthmark. And in the same type of thing, the next day she was dead. So for me, this birthmark tattoo, this is my way of saying I am beautiful, and fuck you if you don't like it, because it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you think is beautiful, what you think is not. I am beautiful, and it has taken me a long time to get to the point where I can say that. I am not as thin as I used to be. When I graduated high school, I was 124 pounds. I was tiny. Well, mostly tiny. I was constantly compared to Dolly Parton because my chest was already a size D by the time I was 13 years old. So I struggled with the objectification that came along with that, just because of how our culture is, our society. And the whole boys will be boys bullshit. I'm not going to go into that, but you can tell it's not something that I agree with. It's not something that I appreciate. But it was one of those things that I grew up dealing with, effectively being a sex object. And while I loved my body, I loved the way I felt, I didn't love that kind of attention. And that wasn't at all what I was looking for. I just enjoyed being me. And as I got older, and after my first child and I started gaining weight, I started getting criticized the other direction of how you looked so much better before you gained all that weight, and, things like that. Again, it was very difficult for me to come back to that point where I do love me. And I'm not the perfect weight right now. I am overweight, and I don't like it. And it is something that I intend to change. It is something that I'm trying to find ways to work on, and I completely believe that homesteading is going to give me multiple chances to do exactly that. I am a survivor, and I am determined, and I don't want to just exist. I don't want to just... I want to live my life instead of just existing in it, just surviving in it. I don't want to just be comfortable for the rest of my life. I want to enjoy life and every aspect of it that I can. So when you think about all of the types of things that come with homesteading and the work that comes with it, I am welcoming that. I know it's going to be hard. I know I'm going to hurt. I've had a bad back since I don't even know when. But I don't care. I can work through things. I can learn to minimize the pain while I'm going through getting work done. And the sense of accomplishment and the feeling of completing something, of succeeding at something, will help to keep me driving forward and keep me going. And that's something that I'm looking forward to. I'm not skinny. I'm about 250 pounds right now. I think it's 251 something, but right around that area. I have my flaws. I'm not perfect, and I don't expect to be. And I hope you guys don't expect me to be, because I don't know where this is going to go as far as this YouTube channel. I really have no idea. But I'm here for the journey, and I hope you are too.